7 things evil people do when they know that you know. Stoic philosophy. Evil, just the word itself, sends a chill down your spine. It's not something we can easily define, yet we know it when we see it. In fact, we don't even need to see it. We feel it. The truth about evil is this: it doesn't need to announce itself. It hides in plain sight, cloaked in smiles, false kindness, and carefully crafted masks. But here's the unsettling part. It doesn't lurk only in dark alleys or behind locked doors. No, evil can fester in the spaces we trust the most. Schools, workplaces, even the homes of those we call friends. It's this insidious, quiet presence that makes it so dangerous. Because when you finally see through the mask, when you recognize the darkness hiding behind the facade, something shifts. Evil doesn't retreat. It reacts. And trust me, it's not just in what they say, but in what they do when they know that you know. When evil realizes you've uncovered its secrets, it fights back, not with force, but with calculated, manipulative moves designed to confuse, intimidate, and control. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on these behaviors, using the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. We'll break down 7 specific things evil people do when they realize you've figured them out. This isn't just about identifying these signs. It's about understanding them, staying calm, and standing firm. Knowledge is your greatest weapon, and by the end of this video, you'll be armed with everything you need to recognize, resist, and protect yourself against their tactics. If you've ever felt that gut-wrenching moment when you realize someone wasn't who they claimed to be, drop a 7 in the comments. Let's see how many of us have faced this darkness and are ready to stand strong together. Let's dive in and confront the darkness not with fear, but with unshakable clarity and courage. Part 1. Strange vibrations. The energy shift. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something was off? That invisible weight pressing against your chest, that unexplainable tension in your shoulders, it's not just in your head. These vibrations, these subtle signals our body sends us, they're not just fleeting sensations. They're our deepest instincts speaking to us, an invisible alarm bell ringing within our soul. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. These words remind us that we live in a sea of energy, where everything around us, even people, emits unique frequencies. And when you encounter someone with malicious intent, their negative energy doesn't just affect your mind, it permeates the space around you, leaving you with a sense of unease. Think about it. Have you ever been in a meeting where someone's smile didn't quite reach their eyes, where their words said one thing, but everything else about them screamed another? That's not paranoia, that's your internal warning system at work. Let me share something personal with you. Years ago, I had a colleague, let's call her Sarah. On paper, she was perfect, always helpful, always smiling, always there. But something felt different. Every time she entered the room, the air seemed to grow thicker. Her presence created an inexplicable heaviness that I couldn't shake off. At first, I doubted myself. After all, how do you explain something you can't see? But Epictetus teaches us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And my reactions were telling me something important. When Sarah realized I was picking up on her energy, her behavior shifted in subtle but noticeable ways. Smiles that once seemed genuine became calculated. Questions suddenly became invasive, making me feel as though she was trying to expose vulnerabilities rather than show genuine interest. These vibrations aren't just unsettling. They're a deliberate strategy, a manipulation designed to regain control. Toxic individuals are often masters of subtlety. They don't need to raise their voice or make obvious threats. Their energy does the work for them, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and doubt. But here's what the Stoics understood. While we can't control the energy others emit, we absolutely can control how we respond to it. Seneca reminds us, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. When faced with these negative vibrations, we have a choice: to be overwhelmed by them or to stand firm in our own energy. Through my experience with Sarah, I learned something crucial. The best way to counter negative energy isn't to fight it. It's to maintain your own energetic integrity. I stopped trying to rationalize the uncomfortable feelings and instead trusted them as valuable information. Here's the practical wisdom I want you to take away. When you feel those strange vibrations, don't immediately dismiss them. Instead, first, acknowledge the feeling without judgment. Your body is trying to tell you something important. Second, observe the person's behavior patterns. Do they change when others are around? Does their energy shift when they think no one is watching? Third, maintain your energetic boundaries. You don't need to absorb their negativity to understand it. Remember, these vibrations are like ripples on water. They reveal disturbances beneath the surface that aren't yet visible to the eye. So, have you ever experienced this? That moment when your gut feeling warned you about someone long before their actions proved you right? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might help others trust their instincts too. And as we move forward to our next sign, remember this: strange vibrations aren't just feelings. They're your internal compass pointing toward truth. Trust them. Speaking of truth, while vibrations might be our first warning sign, what happens when these people realize we're onto them? Their next move is often more calculated, more deliberate. They begin to weave a web of deception so intricate that even they might lose track of their own lies. Let's explore that next. Part 2. The web of lies. Lies are like a finely woven web that even the one weaving it cannot escape. Each lie told doesn't just cover the truth, it adds another thread to this tangled web, making everything more complex. When malicious individuals realize their truth has been exposed, they never choose to confront it. Instead, they spin more lies, creating new layers of deceit in an attempt to regain control. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Man cannot learn what he thinks he already knows." This perfectly encapsulates those who live by lies. They deceive not only others, but also imprison themselves in ignorance, blinding their ability to recognize the light of truth. In reality, we've all encountered lies at some point, and at times, we've even been less than truthful ourselves. Research suggests that the average person lies 1 to 2 times a day. These are often minor untruths, small jokes, or efforts to avoid hurting someone's feelings. But malicious individuals don't lie to protect others' emotions. They lie to protect themselves, to cover up wrongdoings, and to safeguard their personal interests. Let me share a personal story that illustrates this pattern. I once had a close friend, someone I trusted completely. He came to me with a story of financial hardship and asked for a short-term loan to help him get through tough times. Trusting him, I didn't hesitate to lend the money, but I later discovered that he hadn't used the funds as he had claimed. Instead, he had spent it on extravagant indulgences I had no idea about. When I confronted him, he didn't admit to it. He denied everything and fabricated another story to cover his actions. He blamed circumstances, other people, and even tried to make me feel guilty for doubting him. This made me realize something profound about such individuals. Trust is not something they value. They are willing to break it and harm those around them as long as it serves their objectives. Marcus Aurelius offers wisdom for moments like these. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When faced with a web of lies, our instinct might be to fight back with our own deception. But that only entangles us in the same web we're trying to escape. Deep down, they know each lie drives them further from the truth, yet they persist because to them, truth is not something to face, but something to conceal. Their lies become increasingly elaborate, often contradicting previous deceptions, creating a complex maze that eventually becomes their prison. Here's what you need to understand. When dealing with such people, the most important thing is to maintain your composure and clarity. As Stoic philosophy teaches us, it's not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Have you ever noticed how one lie leads to another, creating an endless chain of deception? This is no accident. Each new lie becomes necessary to support the previous ones, building a house of cards that requires constant maintenance. When you find yourself facing someone who consistently weaves these webs of deception, remember this: your power lies not in catching them in their lies, but in maintaining your own integrity. Don't let their deception push you into becoming something you're not. The key is to stay grounded in truth, while understanding that their lies reveal more about their character than any truth could. Document everything, trust your memory, stand firm in your reality. As Seneca wisely noted, "Veritas numquam peritit," the truth never perishes. While lies may temporarily cloud the truth, they cannot destroy it. Your role is not to force them to admit their deception, but to protect yourself from being entangled in their web. Don't let lies disrupt your peace of mind. Remember, the truth doesn't need constant defense. It stands on its own. The elaborate scaffolding of lies they build will eventually collapse under its own weight. If you've ever experienced the exhausting cycle of confronting someone's lies only to be met with more deception, share your story with us. Type truth in the comments below. Your experience might help others recognize and break free from similar situations. Up next, we'll explore another sign of malicious individuals when they realize you've uncovered their true nature, one that might seem helpful on the surface but hides a darker purpose. Remember, while lies may temporarily cloud your vision, truth remains your compass. Stay anchored in it, and no web of deception can truly ensnare you. Part 3. The opportunistic presence. Have you ever felt like you were just a pit stop in someone else's journey? They show up when they need you most, with sweet words and sincere gestures, but the moment they get what they want, they vanish without hesitation. It leaves you questioning whether your kindness has been taken advantage of. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Time discovers truth. It is better to be deceived once than to remain forever suspicious." But what happens when that deception becomes a pattern, a calculated dance of appearance and disappearance? People like this never genuinely care about you. They care only about what they can extract from the relationship. And when they realize you've seen through their facade, their actions become more calculated, more deliberate. Let me share something personal with you. I once worked with a colleague who seemed genuinely supportive of my projects. He wouldn't hesitate to put in extra hours, offer valuable advice, making me think I had found a reliable ally in a competitive environment. But then came a major crisis at work. One of those moments when you truly need someone to stand by you. And suddenly, complete silence. No support, no gestures of concern. He just stood at a distance, avoiding the trouble entirely. The most revealing part? After I managed to resolve the issue on my own, he reappeared with perfectly crafted excuses. "I was too busy," he said. "I didn't want to add to your stress." That's when Marcus Aurelius's wisdom hit home. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You see, these individuals are like opportunists playing a game of chess. Every move is calculated. When there's nothing left to gain, they withdraw, leaving you feeling betrayed and hurt. But here's what's even more disheartening. When things settle down, they return with insincere apologies and meticulously crafted excuses, hoping to make you believe their absence was circumstantial rather than intentional. They count on your forgiving nature to allow them back into your life. But remember, their return isn't about valuing you. It's about seizing another opportunity to exploit your kindness. Epictetus offers us profound guidance here. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. When dealing with opportunistic individuals, this means setting firm boundaries through actions, not just words. Here's what you need to understand. Their pattern isn't random, it's strategic. They appear when you have something they need to maintain their facade. They're losing control over you. They'd need to assess if you're still a viable resource. But here's the power you hold. You can choose how to respond. As Marcus Aurelius teaches us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The solution isn't to become bitter or distrustful. Instead, notice their patterns without reacting emotionally. Set clear boundaries about what you will and won't accept. Maintain your kindness, but protect your energy. Remember that their behavior reflects their character, not your worth. Think about it. How many times have you excused someone's convenient disappearance? How often have you accepted paper-thin explanations for their absence when you needed them most? The absence of these people isn't a loss. It's an opportunity to free yourself from unhealthy relationships and focus on building genuine, meaningful connections. Remember, kindness isn't weakness, it's a strength, but only when you know how to set boundaries. Those who truly value you won't exploit you. They'll stand by you even in the toughest of times, not just when it's convenient for them. Before we move on to the fourth sign, ask yourself, are you ready to recognize and respond to these opportunistic patterns in your life? Share your experience in the comments. Have you encountered someone who only shows up when they need something? Type yes if this resonates with you. Remember this: true connections aren't transactional. They're built on mutual respect, genuine care, and consistent presence, especially when times are tough. Speaking of tough times, when opportunistic presence fails to maintain their control, they often resort to an even more insidious tactic, one that strikes at the very core of your self-worth. Part 4. Intellectual manipulation. Have you ever opened up to someone about your pain or struggles, only to hear responses like, "Why didn't you see that coming?" or "How could you be so naive?" These seemingly harmless comments carry an invisible weight, making you feel small, ashamed, and questioning your own intelligence. This isn't just casual criticism, it's a calculated form of psychological warfare designed to diminish your self-worth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The opinion of 1,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Yet, toxic individuals twist this wisdom, making you believe their judgment of you determines your worth. When they realize you've seen through their facade, they don't retreat, they escalate. Their weapons become more precise, more personal. They target not just your actions, but your very ability to think and make decisions. Let me share something personal with you. Years ago, I was leading a major project at a prestigious firm. My colleague, let's call him James, seemed supportive at first, but when he realized I was seeing through his attempts to take credit for my work, his tactics changed. He started questioning every decision I made in front of our team. "Are you sure you've thought this through?" he'd ask, his voice dripping with false concern. Remember what happened with the Johnson account? Each comment was like a perfectly aimed arrow designed to make me doubt my competence, my judgment, my very ability to lead. Epictetus teaches us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This wisdom became my shield. Instead of defending myself or doubting my abilities, I started observing his behavior with detached curiosity. I noticed how he would wait for crucial moments to plant seeds of doubt, use past mistakes as weapons, frame criticism as helpful advice, create an audience for his intellectual attacks. But here's what's fascinating about intellectual manipulators. They don't just want to make you feel stupid, they need you to feel stupid. Your self-doubt feeds their sense of superiority. Seneca reminds us, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." When you understand this, everything shifts. Their attempts to diminish you become opportunities to strengthen your mental fortitude. I started responding to James's concerned questions with calm confidence. "Thank you for your concern," I'd say. "I've analyzed this thoroughly and stand by my decision." No defensiveness, no justification, just quiet certainty. The result? His power began to fade. Without my self-doubt to feed on, his manipulative tactics lost their sting. Here's what I learned. Intellectual manipulators are actually revealing their own insecurities. Their need to make others feel stupid stems from their deep-seated fear of being exposed as frauds themselves. Remember this: your intelligence isn't measured by their judgment, but by your ability to recognize and rise above their manipulation. When you encounter someone who tries to make you question your intelligence, ask yourself, is this person trying to help me grow or trying to make me shrink? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Think about it. How many times have you felt your confidence shake under someone's well-meaning criticism? How often have you second-guessed your perfectly sound judgment because someone planted seeds of doubt? The Stoic response isn't to fight back or withdraw. It's to stand firm in your truth while maintaining your composure. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's narrative about your intelligence. It's determined by your ability to think clearly, act decisively, and maintain your dignity, even when others try to strip it away. Before we move on to the next sign, remember this: true intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about maintaining your clarity of thought, even when others try to cloud it. If you've ever experienced this kind of manipulation, share your story in the comments. Your experience might help someone else recognize and overcome similar challenges in their life. Next, we'll explore how these manipulators try to rebuild their reputation once they realize their intellectual attacks aren't working anymore. Part 5. The reputation remake. Have you ever looked at someone and thought they might truly embody deceit and cruelty? If your answer is yes, you're not alone. But the most frightening thing isn't how they conceal their true nature. It's how they manipulate your perception, making you doubt yourself and the truths you've uncovered. Evil individuals aren't just bad people. They are masters of disguise, skilled in psychological games that you may not even realize you're being drawn into. When they discover you've seen through them, they won't confront the truth. Instead, they act quickly to change how you perceive them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Evil people understand this principle all too well. If they can manipulate your thoughts, they can control your perception and actions. Let me share a personal experience that changed my understanding of this dynamic forever. I once had a colleague, let's call her Sarah, who held a senior position in our organization. For years, she maintained an impeccable reputation, always appearing helpful, supportive, and professionally polished. But beneath that carefully crafted image lay a web of manipulation that affected dozens of careers. When several team members finally gathered enough evidence to expose her harmful actions, something fascinating happened. Instead of addressing the accusations, Sarah launched what I now recognize as a masterful reputation remake. She didn't just deny the allegations, she rewrote her entire narrative. Suddenly, she was sharing emotional stories about her challenging childhood, her struggles as a working mother, and her dedication to mentoring others. Her social media transformed overnight, filled with posts about personal growth and leadership wisdom. What makes this strategy so effective? It's not just the new story, it's how it makes you question your own judgment. As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. These manipulators understand that if they can make you doubt your own perception, they've already won half the battle. The reputation remake comes in 3 distinct phases. First, they create confusion. They flood their environment with so many new, positive narratives that it becomes difficult to hold on to the truth you've uncovered. They might suddenly engage in visible acts of kindness, or publicly support causes that contradict their exposed behavior. Second, they build a fortress of supporters. They strategically share their new narrative with influential people who haven't witnessed their true nature, creating a shield of defenders who'll vouch for their changed character. Third, and most cunningly, they turn the tables. As Seneca observed, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. They try to strip you of this power by making your recognition of their true nature seem like a personal vendetta or a misunderstanding. I watched Sarah execute this playbook flawlessly. She managed to convince several department heads that the accusations against her were merely misunderstandings born from her passionate leadership style. Some colleagues who had initially supported the exposure began to question their own memories and perceptions. But here's what you need to understand. This behavior isn't just about saving face, it's about maintaining power. When evil people realize they've been exposed, they don't just want to protect their reputation, they want to fortify it against future revelations. So, how do you stay anchored in truth when someone launches a reputation remake? Remember these key principles. First, trust your direct experience. Your personal encounters with their true nature are valid, regardless of the new narrative they're spinning. Second, document everything. Keep a clear record of specific incidents and behaviors. Memory can be manipulated, but documented facts stand firm. Third, and most importantly, maintain your inner clarity. As Marcus Aurelius taught us, the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Don't let their new narrative make you question your sanity or judgment. The fact that they're working so hard to change their image often confirms that you've seen the truth they're trying to hide. Remember, a genuine change in character is quiet and consistent. It doesn't need announcements or dramatic transformations. It shows itself in small, steady actions over time, not in grand gestures or carefully crafted stories. Have you ever witnessed someone attempting to completely reinvent their image after being exposed? How did you maintain your grip on reality in the face of their manipulation? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help others recognize and resist these tactics. Up next, we'll explore another powerful tool in the manipulator's arsenal, one that might seem innocent at first, but can be devastatingly effective in making you question everything you know to be true. Part 6. Strategic ignorance. Have you ever confronted someone about their actions, only to have them stare back with perfect innocence? That blank look, that confused expression, as if they have no idea what you're talking about. This isn't just denial, it's a calculated strategy. And it's one of the most insidious tools in the manipulator's arsenal. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This wisdom cuts to the heart of strategic ignorance. Those who employ it aren't seeking truth, they're actively avoiding it. Let me share a personal experience that illustrates this perfectly. A few years ago, I worked with a colleague who had been systematically undermining my projects. She would forget to include crucial information in reports, misplace important documents, and accidentally miss deadlines that affected my work. When I finally gathered enough evidence and confronted her, her response was masterful in its calculated innocence. "Oh, I had no idea this was affecting you. Why didn't you say something sooner?" That single question, loaded with false concern, was designed to accomplish three things: deny responsibility, shift blame, and make me question my own judgment. Marcus Aurelius offers profound insight into dealing with such behavior. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This isn't just about taking the high road, it's about maintaining your clarity when someone else is trying to cloud it. Think about it. When someone feigns ignorance, they're not just denying their actions, they're attempting to rewrite reality itself. They're saying, your experience isn't real, your pain isn't valid, your perception can't be trusted. And here's what makes it so effective. It plays on our natural tendency to doubt ourselves. We start thinking, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I should have said something sooner. But pay attention to what's happening in these moments. While you're questioning yourself, they're escaping accountability. While you're second-guessing your judgment, they're strengthening their position. Seneca, another great Stoic teacher, provides us with powerful guidance here. The greatest power we have is the power of choosing our response. When faced with strategic ignorance, we have three choices. First, we can get pulled into their game, desperately trying to prove what they already know. Second, we can become angry and frustrated, letting our emotions cloud our judgment. Or third, and this is the Stoic way, we can stand firmly in our truth, maintaining our composure while refusing to participate in their reality distortion. I learned this lesson the hard way with my colleague. Initially, I fell into the trap of trying to prove everything, documenting every incident, gathering witnesses. But the more evidence I presented, the more elaborate her confusion became. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to make her admit what she already knew. Instead, I focused on what I could control: my response, my boundaries, my actions. Remember this: strategic ignorance only works if you accept the burden of proving what they're pretending not to know. The moment you refuse to play this game, you reclaim your power. Let me ask you this: how often have you found yourself explaining the obvious to someone who should know better? How many times have you walked away from such conversations feeling drained, confused, or questioning your own sanity? This is exactly what they want. But you have a choice. You can refuse to engage in their game of "prove it to me." You can state your truth once, set your boundaries, and move forward, regardless of whether they understand or not. Because here's the truth about strategic ignorance: it's not about misunderstanding, it's about power. It's not about confusion, it's about control. And the moment you see it for what it is, its power over you begins to fade. As we move into our final sign, remember this: your reality doesn't need their acknowledgement to be valid. Your truth doesn't require their understanding to be real, and your worth isn't diminished by their pretense of ignorance. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced this kind of behavior by typing "I stand in my truth." Your story might help others recognize and overcome similar situations in their lives. Part 7. The ultimate control: manipulation. Manipulation is like a silent yet destructive storm, shaking your confidence and stripping away your control over your own life. It's a weapon wielded with such precision that you often don't realize you're under attack until you're already wounded. The most dangerous part: the deepest scars it leaves aren't visible to the eye. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This profound truth reveals why manipulation is so devastating. It doesn't just change your actions, it transforms your very perception of reality. Think about it. Manipulators don't always appear overtly aggressive. They often hide behind a perfect facade of kindness, concern, or even love. But beneath their words lies a darker motive. Their advice isn't meant to help you grow. It's designed to make you doubt yourself. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Sarah, a brilliant executive I worked with, came to me deeply troubled. Her partner would constantly say things like, "Are you sure you can handle that promotion? Remember what happened last time?" Or, "I'm only saying this because I care about you, but maybe you're taking on too much." These words seemed caring on the surface, but they were actually carefully crafted arrows, each one designed to pierce her confidence. The real manipulation wasn't in the words themselves, it was in how they made her feel. Small, incapable, and dependent. Epictetus teaches us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This wisdom is particularly relevant when dealing with manipulation. Because here's what manipulators understand all too well: if they can control your emotions, they can control your actions. They use subtle tactics. They rewrite your past experiences to serve their narrative. They make their presence feel essential to your success. They create emotional debt through selfless acts of kindness. But here's what Seneca would want you to understand. The greatest power we have is the power of choice. You always have the choice to reject their narrative, to stand firm in your truth. I witnessed this transformation firsthand with Sarah. The turning point came when she started recognizing these patterns. Instead of absorbing her partner's concerns, she began to question them. Why does this person need me to feel incapable? What do they gain from my self-doubt? This is where Stoic philosophy offers us a powerful shield. When someone tries to manipulate you, remember Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The key to breaking free from manipulation lies in 1. Recognizing your own worth, independent of their validation. 2. Understanding that their help often comes with hidden costs. 3. Maintaining firm boundaries, especially when they're tested. 4. Trusting your instincts when something feels off. But here's the most crucial part, and I want you to really let this sink in. Manipulation only works if you accept their version of reality over your own. The moment you start trusting your inner voice more than their carefully crafted words, their power begins to crumble. Have you ever noticed how manipulators react when their control starts slipping? They often escalate their tactics, becoming more obvious in their attempts to regain control. This is actually a good sign. It means you're breaking free. Remember, your worth isn't determined by their narrative. Your capabilities aren't limited by their doubts. Your future isn't confined by their fears. As we wrap up this final sign, I want to leave you with one more piece of wisdom from Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Manipulators know this. That's why they work so hard to influence how you think about yourself. Your task isn't to fight their manipulation. It's to strengthen your own inner truth so firmly that their words simply bounce off your conviction. Let me ask you this. When did you first realize someone was trying to manipulate you? What was that moment of clarity like? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to recognize their own situation. Remember, today's wisdom isn't just about understanding manipulation. It's about reclaiming your power, one conscious choice at a time. Now that we've explored all 7 signs, let's put them together to create a complete shield against those who would try to control us. Conclusion. So, we've uncovered the 7 distinct behaviors that toxic individuals exhibit when they realize you've seen through their true nature. These signs aren't just warnings, they're tools of empowerment, illuminating the path forward through life's darkest encounters. As the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. The knowledge you've gained today isn't just about identifying manipulation and evil. It's about maintaining your inner strength and peace in the face of adversity. Think about it. Every time you recognize these signs, every time you stand firm in your truth, you're not just protecting yourself, you're becoming stronger. Like a lighthouse standing tall against the storm, your awareness becomes the beacon that guides you safely through troubled waters. Remember, toxic people will always try to manipulate and control you. But your real power lies in not letting them disrupt your inner peace. Each time you refuse to let them dictate your emotions, you not only shield your serenity, but also reinforce your self-respect and autonomy. Let these lessons become part of your mental armor, equipping you to face life's challenges with clarity and courage. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Your strength lies not in fighting darkness with darkness, but in maintaining your light even in the shadowed moments. Before we wrap up, let me ask you this. What did today's content awaken in you? Do you feel more equipped to identify and confront the toxic individuals around you? If this video brought value to your life, please take a moment to like and share it. Your action could help someone else who needs these vital lessons. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so we can continue this journey of fostering inner peace and self-mastery together. If today's message resonated with you, write Stoic Strength in the comments below. Your story could be a powerful source of inspiration for others walking the same path. And remember, whether you're dealing with manipulation, deception, or any form of toxic behavior, you always have the power to choose your response. Stay strong, stay resolute, and always protect the peace within your soul. Until next time, keep your light burning bright. The world needs your authentic self more than ever. Take care and stay wise.